GS versus the Tenere. I've done a couple of videos talking about the BMW GS versus the Tenere, and I was just online. I'm on a couple of the... Oh, she's really struggling going uphill. Kind of stuck here. The cops won't bother me. You know, I'm on several GS forums. You know, I like to read up on a lot of motorcycles, and there's quite a few BMW GSs that have failed within 10,000, 20,000 miles. And it's kind of funny when you join these groups. There's a post of a 2019 GS, and there's a guy that's like, oh, with a photo of the GS in the back of a tow truck, and there's a guy going, look, I have like 15, 20,000 miles on my bike, and something happened to the transmission, I forgot, or the transmission or the motor, and it grenaded, and is this normal? My bike barely has any miles, and it's a 2019, and I've taken care of it with regular service intervals done at the BMW dealer. Why did it fail? And then you would imagine that somehow you would get, oh, that's a very strange thing, my bike is completely reliable. There is those posts, but the scary thing is that it's normalized because these bikes break down often. So when you're reading the comments, you're like, oh yeah, mine did the same thing. Mine was an 08, and there's other guys, mine is an 2018, my bike broke the same way. And the thing is, a lot of these BMW guys, they go, oh, you know what, you bought a 2019, you should have bought a 2020 because they fixed that problem. And then I remember when I had a 08 GS and I had problems, the same BMW guys were like, oh, you should have bought an 09, they fixed that problem. You should have bought a 2010, they fixed that problem. I'm gonna have to go left, this goddamn Saab is going straight. So it's always like another year that gets fixed. It's never the year that you're riding. And that's what BMW guys do. They just give themselves a bunch of excuses why their bikes are always failing. Now, I'm also on several Yamaha Tenere groups. And the reason I'm bringing up this is that there are Teneres that fail. And I remember one guy, I think something happened to his motor, and it completely grenaded. And grenaded, I mean, something happened internally and something broke. And I don't see this very much in Japanese bikes. So I was curious, I was keeping in track of all the comments, and I even posted and I asked, is this normal? Have you guys had other major breakdowns? And most people, there's very few that said anything, but very few actually said that. Most people said it was a very uncommon thing, and that was the first time they even heard of a Tenere failing. So it's very strange to see a Yamaha Tenere fail. So the Tenere, the early Teneres, what I'm riding now, I've heard of a couple failures because of the cam chain. But the guy that had his bike fail took care of it religiously. So you can see there are problems in all sorts of bikes, but what I'm trying to get to you guys is that this happens way too often with BMW, and it happens so often that this is so normalized with BMWs that I kind of stay away from BMWs because it shouldn't be normalized. When I had a GS, it started burning oil at 20-something thousand, and I was like, why is this thing burning oil? And then I posted up on ADV Rider at the time, And people told me, oh, that's quite normal. These BMW GSs, that's something that they do. They burn oil. They burn oil. I mean, and that's normal for these guys. That's why I don't like BMW. They give themselves excuses for being unreliable. But the Tenere, I can tell you straight up that the early 2012s, 2013s have issues. They have motor issues. And there's, it's better being honest about it, and being honest and being upfront about issues with reliability than eventually you finding out the wrong way and figuring out that you're gonna have to spend $4,000, $5,000 fixing a bike that you can't afford to keep. But BMW guys have expendable income. They're okay spending $4,000 or $5,000 because they're emotionally attached to the bike, and I think that's the wrong thing to do as a motorcycle rider, is to gloss over the unreliable issues that these BMWs have. 2012, this is 2012, and you compare it. This one costs $5,000. A GS might be $8,000. And I asked myself, do I really get what, like $5, $6, $7, $8, $3,000 more? Do I get $3,000 more of quality from a BMW? And the answer is always no. You do not get $3,000 more of quality. And the problem is, the quality, that same GS that costs $8,000 used, and I'm talking about in the used marketplace, because these bikes have similar costs when they're new. BMW is more expensive, but I never buy anything new. But the thing is, if you buy a used bike, you're so much better off buying a Japanese bike, because it's as if you can gamble with it and you're going to get a decent bike. And with the GSs, it's not like the owners, they neglect their bikes. The bikes are just notoriously unreliable, and I get a lot of hate from people when I talk about GSs being unreliable. And not just GSs, the entire BMW brand is filled with very unreliable bikes. They made some reliable bikes for a while, you know, the F series, and I heard good things about the S1000RR.